had about if there's no 2026 WNBA season, unrivaled thought process and plans for this. And this is why they can't get mad that we've been saying this whole thing with them running unrivaled, being co-founders, but also being on the WNBA board is a conflict of interest. Is conversations and things like this on why they can't get mad that we're saying it's a conflict of interest.
The absolute truth of the situation is that fans feel a sense of betrayal, watching these veterans try to dismantle the house they helped build just as it gets renovated. It is a classic case of ego getting in the way of a massive payday because they cannot stand to see someone else get the credit for the boom. The veterans are acting like they are the only reason the league exists, but the television numbers tell a very different story about who is actually driving growth. They are essentially holding the progress of the entire sport hostage, while they try to figure out how to stay relevant in a brand new world. Nobody wants to watch a lockout when the momentum of the game is finally hitting the mainstream consciousness and the money is finally flowing into the league.
Saying I love her, the things she's able to control and that she doesn't show. I couldn't imagine going through the stuff she goes through, but she stays strong. Now, that's just kind of referring to the spotlight. Everything you do is being talked about, is under a microscope. Every missed shot, every made shot.
Now, why does this matter? Because while the rookies and the actual stars are focused on the game,
Caitlin Clark is the silent assassin in this entire drama because she does not need to say a single word to exert her massive influence on the market, while the veterans are going on podcasts and social media to complain about their contracts. She is busy preparing to dominate the court and sell out arenas. The power is not in the political meetings or the boardrooms, but in the millions of people who tune in just to see her shoot. From the logo, the veterans are making a massive mistake by assuming the fans are loyal to the brand rather than the individual stars who are changing the game. If she decided to walk away tomorrow, the entire valuation of the league would crumble and the veterans would be left with nothing but their pride.
Kayla Timpson, who is doing her thing. Speak about the GOAT, Caitlin Clark. We all know Caitlin Clark is set to have an MVP season in year 3 after returning from injury. Michaela Timpson had a quote about Caitlin Clark that is very, very interesting that we have to get into. And
the sheer audacity of starting a rival league while sitting on the executive board of the current organization is something you only see in movies. Brina Stewart and Nafisa Collier are playing a very dangerous game by trying to create a secondary option while the primary league is finally profitable. It feels like a panic move from players who realize that their time in the spotlight is coming to an end and they want a parachute. The conflict of interest is so clear that it should be a headline on every sports news network across the entire country every single day. Fans are starting to see that this is not about player empowerment, but about a small group of elites trying to maintain their grip on power.
Caitlin Clark's a great teammate. Pretty much everybody. This ain't a Chicago Sky situation where Courtney Vandersloot got to go on camera and defend herself because somebody said something they weren't supposed to and all this other stuff.
we have
The media deal worth billions of dollars did not happen because of the players who have been in the league for the last 10 years. It happened because of the massive influx of new fans who are obsessed with the rookie class and the high-paced style of play they bring. The veterans want to reap the rewards of this new financial era without acknowledging that they are no longer the main attraction. For the viewers, they are pushing for a strike that would alienate the very people who just started buying tickets and jerseys for the first time in history. It is a short-sighted strategy that could potentially destroy the growth of the sport for an entire generation of young girls watching at home. If a strike actually happens in 2026, the league has already shown that they are ready to pivot to the next generation of superstars immediately. The WNBA booking venues for the entire season, without a signed deal, is a cold-blooded chess move that proves they know where the real leverage is. They have a pipeline of talent coming from the college level that is more popular than most of the current veterans in the professional ranks. Replacement players would fill the rosters in a heartbeat, and the ratings would likely stay exactly where they are as long as the rookies play. The veterans are essentially threatening to walk off a cliff while the league is already building a bridge to the future without them in it. The contrast between the maturity of the rookies and the bitterness of the veterans is one of the most shocking things to witness in sports. Michaela Timpson is coming in with a positive attitude and a hunger to win, while the older players are focused on how to divide the money. It is refreshing to see a young player acknowledge the greatness of her teammate instead of trying to tear her down in the media every week. The chemistry in Indiana is building into something special because they are focusing on the game instead of the politics of the union meetings. The fans can see the difference between those who love the game and those who are just trying to protect their status in the league. The equity being offered in the new startup league is a total gamble compared to the guaranteed growth of the established professional organization right now. It is hard to believe that a 3-on-3 tournament in Miami can compete with the history and the reach of the traditional 5-on-5 professional format. The ratings for the startup have already shown that the novelty is wearing off, and fans are looking for real competition with high stakes on the line. Without the biggest star in the world, the new league is just an exhibition match that feels more like a hobby than a professional career. The founders are trying to sell a dream that is slowly turning into a nightmare as the financial reality of the market starts to set in. Veterans are worried about the new rules that limit their ability to play overseas during the off-season because they want to maximize their earnings right now. They are trying to have it both ways by demanding higher salaries in the US while still taking checks from teams in Europe and Asia. Every year, the physical toll of playing basketball all year round is starting to show, and the quality of the game is suffering because of the constant travel. The league is trying to move toward a model where players are dedicated to one organization, but the veterans are fighting to keep their old ways. It is a battle between the old school mentality of survival and the new school mentality of professional excellence and global branding for the stars. The fan perspective is very simple, because we do not care about the fine print of the collective bargaining agreement or the boardroom drama behind the scenes. We just want to see the best players on the court competing at the highest level without the constant threat of a work stoppage or a lockout. The drama is starting to overshadow the actual basketball, and that is a recipe for disaster. When you are trying to build a loyal fan base, the veterans are making themselves the villains of the story by making everything about their personal grievances instead of the growth of the professional sport. If they walk away from the game, the fans will not follow them to a boutique league, they will just find a different sport to watch. The media has been protecting the legacy players for a long time, but the numbers are finally forcing them to tell the truth about the situation. The shift in focus is inevitable because the money follows the eyeballs, and the eyeballs are fixed on the new generation of talent in the league. You can only talk about the past for so long before people realize that the future is already here, and it looks nothing like the past. The veterans are fighting a losing battle against the clock and against the changing tastes of the global sports audience who want high-energy action. It is a brutal reality of professional sports that everyone is replaceable, and the league will continue to move forward with or without the old guard. Unrivaled feels less like a league and more like a golden parachute for a few players who know they cannot compete with the new speed. They are creating a safe space where they can be the stars without having to deal with the pressure of the rookie class taking their minutes. It is a clubhouse for the elite players who have dominated the league for years but are now seeing their influence slip away to the youth. The fans are not interested in watching a glorified practice session, where the outcome does not actually matter for the history of the professional sport. If they want to be taken seriously, they need to stop playing double agent and commit to the organization that actually pays their primary salaries. The potential for a dynasty in Indiana, with players like Clark and Timpson, is the most exciting storyline in the history of the entire league. They are building a brand that is focused on winning and entertaining the fans, rather than complaining about the conditions of the professional locker rooms, the athleticism, and the skill level of these new players are on a different level than what we have seen in the past decade of play. The veterans should be trying to mentor this new talent instead of trying to sabotage the league, just to get a better deal for themselves. The future of the game is in good hands with the rookies, but it is being threatened by the people who should be protecting it most. The financial reality of the $250 million expansion fees proves that the league is in the middle of a massive explosion of value. That this is the worst possible time to talk about a strike because it sends a message of instability to the investors who are putting up the cash. The veterans think they are entitled to a piece of the pie, but they are forgetting that the pie only exists because of the new interest. They are gambling with the livelihoods of the younger players who do not have the same financial cushion to survive a year without any basketball. It is a selfish move that prioritizes the few at the top over the hundreds of women who just want to play professional hoops. The legacy of players like Breanna Stewart is being tarnished by the appearance of greed at the exact moment the sport is finally going global. Instead of being remembered for their championships, they might be remembered as the ones who tried to break the league during its biggest boom. It is hard to root for someone who is actively working against the interests of the fans and the long-term health of the professional organization. The public perception is shifting rapidly, and the veterans are losing the PR war because they are out of touch with the average sports fan. they need to realize that they are employees of a league that is bigger than any individual ego or any secondary business venture. They start, Caitlin Clark has shown more mental toughness in one season than most players show in an entire career under the bright lights of the media. She has been the target of physical play and verbal attacks, but she never stoops to the level of the people who are trying to break her. The fans see that grace and they respond by showing up to every game in record numbers just to support her journey to the top. She is the engine that is driving the entire industry, and the veterans are just passengers who are trying to kick the driver out of the seat. The more they try to suppress her, the more the fans will rally behind her and make her even more powerful than she already is. The idea of a replacement player era is not as crazy as it sounds when you consider the depth of talent currently in the college ranks. If the veterans walk out, the league will simply open the doors to the next wave of players who are desperate for a chance to play. The quality of play might take a temporary hit, but the fans would likely stay because they are invested in the stories of the new stars. The veterans are overestimating their value to the consumer who just wants to see a game played with passion and high-stakes competition every night. Nobody is bigger than the organization, and the league has already proven that they are willing to play hardball to protect their multi-billion-dollar investment. The ultimate outcome is that the veterans will realize they have no choice but to sign the deal and play by the new rules of the game. The leverage they thought they had with their secondary league is disappearing as the ratings continue to slide and the interest begins to fade away. The WNBA is the only stage that offers the level of visibility and financial security that a professional athlete needs to build a real brand. They can only hold out for so long before the reality of their bank accounts forces them to return to the court and face the rookies. The power shift is complete, and the sooner the old guard accepts it, the better it will be for the entire world of basketball. This is the most exciting and dangerous time in the history of the sport, and we are watching it unfold in real time every single day. The tension between the past and the future is creating a level of drama that is drawing in people who never cared about basketball before. Every move made by the league and every comment made by the players is being analyzed by millions of people who are invested in the outcome. We are witnessing the birth of a new era of sports where the individual stars have more power than the teams they play for on court. It is a wild ride, and the high volatility of the situation is exactly why we cannot stop watching the story as it develops further. The veterans need to get on the bus or get out of the way because the 2026 schedule is not moving for anyone in the world. The fans have already made their choice, and they have chosen the future over the past. By supporting the new wave of professional talent, the game is bigger than any one person, but right now the game is being carried on the shoulders of the rookie class and the stars. If the veterans want to be a part of the success, they need to stop the politics and start playing the game that made them famous. The clock is ticking, and the league is moving forward with a vision that is focused on global dominance and record-breaking television ratings everywhere. In the end, the only thing that matters is what happens on the court. When the whistle blows and the ball is in the air, the politics will fade away and the boardroom drama will be forgotten, but the legacy of the players will be defined by their actions today. Caitlin Clark and the new generation are ready to take the sport to heights that were never thought possible just a few years ago. The veterans have a choice to either lead the way or be left behind in the dust as the league accelerates into the future. Keep the vision clear and stay tuned, because the battle for the soul of the game is just getting started, and it is legendary.